Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Paranormal Guys. We have a special show for you tonight. We have Rich Fields, who is the voice of The Price is Right, or he was for quite a few years with Bob Barker. So he has written a great book, and he's going to tell us all about it. And I don't have much to say tonight, so welcome to the show. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, I don't know, some other places. And as usual, we will have the phone lines open. So you can call us at 1-888-88-YERGZ on your phone pad. So if you have any questions for us, just give us a holler. We will be glad to answer them. I think I've got the phones open. Let me go make sure I got them open. But in the meantime, let's see who we got hiding back here. We got Andy. We got a new character, Jason, and we have Dina, and of course, here is Rich.
Hello.
Is it appropriate now to say, "Come on down"?
Come on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Jason, I'm watching the Tennessee game. It's tied up right now. I just want you to know.
Oh, good.
How much time's left?
They give me the time. Seconds. I think it says 14 seconds.
About 14. Oh, all right. Thank you.
Hey, pleasure to be here, you guys. This is cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on.
Good to have
We're
you.
glad to have you.
Who read?
Have you?
Anybody?
I haven't yet, but I want to.
Well, I read excerpts from it, so I didn't get to read the whole thing.
It's doing really well. It's on Amazon right now, and if you're a Kindle reader, if you like, ebooks, it's on Kindle, but you can get it on Amazon. It's doing all right, and in weird categories, like the other day, it was 15th in self-help for Catholics.
Wow.
I mean, weird.
That's an odd category, but for it to be in, but you do have a lot of inspirational. I mean, I read some reviews in it. People said it was very inspirational and uplifting. So
thanks, Dina.
Yeah.
My agent came to the same conclusion. He said, I think people are picking up the spiritual side of it and connecting with it on their own level, so it's cool. It's I was just trying to tell my story about knowing from an early age that I was going to work with Bob Barker on The Price is Right. And I know it sounds crazy, and I didn't broadcast it much, when I was at The Price is Right. I didn't want those people to think I was nuts. But my whole life, it was trying to get to stage 33 at Television City in Hollywood to work with Bob Barker. I just knew I would. And if I did everything right, if I did my part, God would do the rest. So
That's great.
What drew you to the show, or what drew you to Bob Barker?
Dina, I mean, people have asked, I've been doing the book tour of interviews and stuff. They said, how did you know you were going to work with Bob? What do you mean? What are you talking about? What consciously, what age do you think you knew? And I said, well, I was at 1972. Why 1972 sticks out in my head? Because that's when Bob went from Truth or Consequences to The Price is Right. And I remember standing in front of my mom and dad used to have videotape of me. See how photographs and video can really cement a memory. They used to have beta videotape of me standing in front of our TV in Avon, Ohio, outside of Cleveland, with my mom's black hairbrush, 12 years old, saying, "Come on down.
Oh, wow.
New car." Swear to God. So I just always wanted to do that. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. It's
cool,
weird.
though.
It's
cool.
it's funny that you say that you saw this at an early part of your life, because same thing happened to me with my career field. I always knew I'd be a paramedic, and that's what I did for 20 years until my back decided to take a vacation. So, but I knew that at an early age. So, and thankfully it kept me out of a lot of trouble when I was in high school. So I knew I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
So,
see, a goal, a carrot out there, something to look forward to try to attain. It does. It keeps you out of trouble. Keeps you working on that goal.
Yep, absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. As a child, they got pictures of me in firefighters gear and stuff, so I knew that I was going to be doing it as well. So,
wow, that's awesome. See, some people just know. Some people just know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird, but to hone in on something as specific as working with Bob at The Price is Right, just to see,
that's different.
That's very specific. I don't know where that comes from.
Now, my grandfather would absolutely roll over in his grave and come out and get me if I did not at least ask this question tonight. I grew up watching The Price is Right with him. He probably one of his most favorite shows outside of the news and watching sports. But how was Bob Barker to work with?
Oh my God, dream come true. I talk about it in the book. It was everything I had hoped it would be. I mean, we came in at a time in Bob's life where we didn't know this, but in retrospect, we found out, but after he retired, actually. But we came into Bob's life when he was thinking about retiring already. When Roddy had passed away, that season 32, he was about done. His knees hurt, his back hurt. And there's a whole chapter in the book about Bob talking about when after Rod passed away and they had announcer auditions, and I came in with this, young enthusiasm for the show, and it fired up everybody on the set. Apparently, I didn't know that, but Bob talked about it at his farewell party, and it's all in the book. There's even photos of it. It's just pretty weird, and he's a very generous guy. I mean, he let Christine and I into his life. I mean, sitting in his kitchen and in his house in Hollywood. I mean, it was like a throwback to the late 1960s, 70s. Everything. The Formica was the exact same yellow Formica that you would have seen back in the day, and vinyl covered chairs at the kitchen table. When his wife Dorothy Jo passed away in the 80s, mid 80s, Bob didn't change anything. You know what I mean? Nothing in the house changed. It was exactly the same day one. So, I mean, just being out to dinner with Bob was just a trip. I mean, oh my God, it's just crazy. You're sitting there eating, and the guy across from you is Bob Barker. I mean, it's just like mind blowing. It's incredible. You pinch yourself because, I mean, I always dreamed. I felt like I dreamed it to come true. I somehow manifested this destiny. I was able to see this pathway. And so for me, it wasn't quite so shocking, but for like my wife and family members, mom, dad, people like that, they can't believe it. They can't believe it. So Bob's just really generous. What I was really generous. I said is, but he's generous. But Bob and Drew, both very, very generous people, but Bob was more generous, like $1 million at a time with grants and, gifts to colleges and universities that would start up whole new law colleges for animal rights. Bob would, pay for the whole thing. But Drew Carey is more generous to the man on the street. Drew Carey carries $100 bills in his right-hand pocket. His mission every day is to get rid of those $100 bills before he gets home, or he's depressed. We'll walk from CBS next door to the Grove, for just a hamburger or lunch or something or anything, or go to Maggiano's, and there's people over there, and oh my God, Drew Carey. And so people come up, and he's like, "Hey man, hey, how are you? Hey man, hi." He's shaking hands, and every hand he shakes, there's $100 bill in it. So
we need to go out there.
We need to meet Drew.
Two different kinds of generosity, both very cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
Absolutely. You don't see that from a lot of the celebrities anymore. So.
No, you see a lot of fake giving.
Yeah.
Well, we won't get into that. But.
Yeah, we know. Well, I know that Bob used to always have the women come running down and hug him and kiss him, and it was kind of a big thing. Did you ever get tackled by any of the fans in the audience?
No, thank God, no. A couple of those hugs and stuff, kind of did Bob in. Bob got really hurt. There's one of the first Samoan women to pick up Bob. There was a streak of them throughout the years, but the first Samoan woman to pick up Bob and literally jackhammer him into the floor. Bob has said that was the beginning of most of his back problems. And again, when I got there in 2004, part of my warm-up ritual was to tell the audience at the very end, and remember, don't hurt Bob, Yeah, he was 80.
That's a good hype man.
He was 82 when I met him, so.
Yeah.
But no, none of them ever tackled me, no.
He did get some pretty hard hugs and smacks, like fly into him, and he was.
Yeah, one of my favorite bits is when a woman's chasing him around the stage, and he hides behind the cameras, and he runs around behind games, and then women keep chasing him. I love that. It's happened.
That was fun.
God bless Bob Barker, man.
Yeah.
My wife and I say it all the time. I mean, everything we have and own, and I say this in the book too, it's because of Bob, because Bob gave me that job in 2004. I mean, you guys can only imagine, biggest network game show of all time. Yeah. It was just a machine, just an absolute machine in all ways.
So in a nutshell, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Dana. Go ahead.
I was going to say, in a nutshell, you said you're from Ohio?
Yeah, I was born in Bay Village, Ohio, raised in Avon, Ohio, just outside Avon Lake, right on Lake Erie.
So how did you get from Ohio to California? Did you go to college and all that? Did you tell us about your life shortly?
Well, my family in 1976 was moving to Florida. And so I was going to be a sophomore in high school that year. And so I moved to Florida, Clearwater, Florida, and ended up graduating from Clearwater High School, and then, went to the University of Florida in Gainesville. Tennessee lost.
Oh, no.
Jason, Tennessee lost. 72-77. I'm sorry, brother.
That's all right.
Next, here's the way for the Gator game to start. Go Gators. So anyway, I forget what I was talking about, but the Tennessee
your story, how you got there.
Yeah. So you went to Florida.
So
Clearwater.
University of Florida, and I knew the whole time. My dad had trained us boys. I have two older brothers, and he trained us. I talk about this in the book. He trained us all that, hey, get good grades. We don't have the money to send you guys to college, so you need to go to one of the military academies. I'm just telling you, you got to get good enough grades, get good enough SAT scores. You got to get, an appointment from a congressman or senator. I mean, as from little kids, this was drilled into us. And my brother Dave went to the Air Force Academy, ended up transferring to the Navy, retired a captain in the Navy.
Wow.
My brother Mike went to the United States Merchant Marine Academy. And I was on my way to Annapolis, the Naval Academy. I had two appointments, and this was the summer of 1979. And I fought tooth and nail with my dad. I said I didn't want to go, man. I wanted to go to Hollywood.
Yeah,
I wanted with Bob Barker.
Hollywood.
Right. I mean, how insane! What parent would go along with that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just a totally opposite direction of where you wanted to go.
Right.
Dad's idea of where and so God bless my mom. I mean, this is all new. I mean, there's no internet, and I'm telling you, 1979, I'm trying to get into college, so she finds out about these things called student loans.
Yeah.
Through the state, and they're fairly inexpensive, and they let you pay them off over time and so on and so forth. So because my dad was really like, hey, look, if you can find a way to pay for it, you can go anywhere you want. But, you're locked into the Naval Academy. You've already accepted their invitation. Time is short. So I applied for the student loan through the University of Florida. I'd already gotten to the state of Florida. I'm sorry. I'd already gotten accepted by the University of Florida. So it was just a matter of getting the loan. And once it came through and I took the paperwork to my dad and showed him, I said, hey, Dad, I said, check it out. And he looked at it and he saw that it was this loan. And he was like, when are you leaving? And I did. I packed up my little orange Ford Pinto and I drove up to Gainesville in the University of Florida because I wanted to get up there right away, man. I knew they had a couple of radio stations on the campus, commercial market stations. They weren't campus stations. They were, they competed commercially in the market, And so I knew I needed I needed some kind of legs behind me. I knew I needed a resume behind me before Bob Barker would ever look at me, before any producer would ever think me worthy to work on this show. I need some kind of background, some kind of resume. So I figured broadcasting, I'd work my way through college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wondered if that's what you'd done. That's good.
You're spinning hits. You could have become the next Casey Kasem.
I loved Casey.
Yeah.
I keep saying it's in the book. Swear to God, I talk about one of my absolute radio inspirations was listening to Casey Kasem on Sunday mornings. And I'd be mad as a little kid because, we'd have to go to church. Mom wanted to go to church. And it was like, it was like an hour in the middle of Casey's Coast to Coast, or American Top 40, I should say. And I can remember, we went to Catholic school and Catholic church, and I can remember getting communion and grabbing Mom's keys and running out to the car because the last half hour of American Top 40 would be on, and I'd be kind of mad that I had to go to church.
You're interrupting my music.
I got to meet him once.
I bet he was cool.
He was cool, but I was shocked at the way the way they recorded the show. You think of Casey, so smooth, man. I'm Casey. I don't do a Casey. I won't even try.
Yeah.
It's American Top 40 and coming in at number 5, just so smooth. But in reality, I was shocked. I got to watch him record a show. And he had a script in front of him, and I'm not bashing Casey. I'm just, you guys obviously all know something about production, every one of you. And I was just surprised coming from radio because Casey's in this booth. He's got headphones on. He's got a mic in front of him. I'm Casey Kasem, and this week, I'm Casey Kasem, and this week on American Top 40. This week on American Top 40, it's going to be the top hit. I mean, and there was a guy on the other side of the glass making notes in the script. He was the editor, and he had to put it all together. I was shocked. I couldn't believe.
I'm shocked too.
I was blown away, man. It was crazy. And I thought that about meeting Bob too. I was worried about meeting Bob Barker that it was all going to blown up for me. That he wasn't going to be who I made him out to be. But meeting Casey Kasem was still cool. But when I saw him do his production, do the show, I was shocked. It was piecemeal the whole way. Well, Bobby, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yes, I was going to say you met Bobby Dizzle and Bob Barker.
Oh my God,
Bobby, are you doing okay with saving, retiring? Do you need a few more minutes?
I'm having a hard time.
So Alabama now.
As long as Kirby Smart comes back, we'll be okay.
You're getting
he took a job with the Falcons.
You're getting Dion, so we'll talk about it later. You're getting Dion. You'll be happy.
Yeah,
it's all right.
So you said that when you did your interviews and stuff that Bob Barker was the one who hired you. Is that correct?
Yeah.
One of the final say-sos?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Bob handpicked me from some, I think Roger Dobkowitz told me at one time, some 200 people that applied for, or sent tape or sent resumes or sent demos. I think about 6 maybe actually got on air auditions with Bob. I think two of us got 2 weeks worth of auditions with Bob. They're giving everybody a week's worth of auditions. You do, Monday through Friday, I would be your audition. The 5-6 people they thought were going to be final candidates, and me and one other guy got 2 weeks with Bob. They were really starting to hone it down at the time. But yeah, Bob, to be handpicked by Bob Barker was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
So do you remember your first live or tape broadcast? Do you remember it?
Oh God, yes.
How bad? How bad?
Oh man, it was a mix of elation, excitement. Maybe these all mean the same thing. Never really any nervousness because it was something I wanted to do my whole life. I couldn't wait to get out there. I couldn't wait to get out there. So the first morning of a live audition with Bob Barker, there's morning production meetings and everything. There's 2 shows a day. We used to tape 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and we'd do 2 shows a day. So we'd bang out 6 shows in a week, and we had every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. And our cycle was we would tape 3 weeks on, have a week off. 3 weeks on, have a week off. 3 weeks on until summer, and we had the whole summer off. So, we were cranking out shows constantly. So my very first morning there, we go through the morning production meeting, a table read where the whole script and everything. And I don't know if you've ever seen a Price is Right script, but
no.
This is the final script, Bob Barker's last episode ever. This is my script, the only script for the show.
Yeah.
And it's autographed by Mr. Barker.
Oh my gosh.
His last show.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I've got so many stuff. Here, check this out. Any Rod Roddy fans?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
These are Rod Roddy's baby shoes.
Oh my goodness.
If you ask why the toes are cut out, well, according to the benefactor of Rod's will, his family was poor. They were dirt poor in Texas, and Rod was a big baby. He's a big boy anyway. And he was growing so big, they were just cutting the shoes because they couldn't go buy new ones. And so they just let him grow right through them. I got these from Rod Roddy's estate.
That's wild. Those are some big baby shoes.
And I got this Christmas.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's awesome.
It looks like a Bob Barker, but the Richfields. I'm not so.
Yeah.
How did Bob Barker feel about the Happy Gilmore reference?
That's what I was wondering.
Bob. Hey, there's a couple
it.
milestones in Bob's career that re-energized his career with a younger audience. And the Happy Gilmore appearance, Bob, as we tape a show, as we're going through a show taping, when we stop down for commercials, in the Bob Barker era, we taped shows in real time. As if it was a live TV show. So when we stopped down for commercials, Bob would literally stay out there on stage and he talked with the audience. Oh, any questions? Blah, blah, blah. Or he'd talk about what happened backstage, and he'd have them rolling. Bob was a very funny guy. But Bob, many, many times when somebody would bring up Happy Gilmore, Bob always gave that movie and Adam Sandler their due. He said it changed my life.
I feel like he had fun doing it.
I don't want to say he was getting stale or anything, but he brought a whole new audience to The Price is Right. After doing that movie. People are like, who is this freaking guy? This is
Yeah, he was awesome in it.
Oh, it was fantastic. I loved doing it. He loved doing that.
I'm sure he did. Adam Sandler's a nut anyway. He seems like a hoot.
Happy Madison.
Yeah.
I got his head. Yeah. I was kind of wrapped up a minute ago, but I'm like, I'm going to jump on there because your bio was about how you pretty much made yourself, you willed yourself into the position you're in. So I said, I got to talk to this guy a little bit because I'm in the middle of that crap right now.
What? Like
what?
To me?
Manifestation.
I'm on Zoom all day, every day. All I do is talk to people. They log on, they want a little bit of inspiration here, a little bit of motivation there, and stuff like that. And I talk to people all the time who are a little stuck. Mm-hmm. Where are you at, Bobby? I mean, where you want to go?
I do. I'm trying to make the podcast thing happen. Right now, I'm successful in IT, like really successful, and it bores the shit out of me, quite honestly. And I did it frankly on accident, just from pure aptitude, technical aptitude. But I'm trying to get the podcast thing going. And I'm getting signs left and right. I'm not even trying. And so I'm just like a sponge for that kind of information.
Yeah, I mean, what I tried to impart in the book to anybody and everybody, especially I wanted to talk to even younger folks than any of us on this podcast right now, but I wanted to be able to tell them to God, start listening to yourself. Your intuition, it's God-given. It's there all day, every day. It's trying to tell you what's right, what's wrong, what to do, how to make every decision of your life all day. But do we listen? No. Do we ever shut up and just listen? No. And it sounds like you're really close, and I think you probably really know already.
I'm paying attention, and because I've done it before with other stuff, just career moves in general. But that's the kind of thing, like I'm familiar with the career moves, so it wasn't like operating out of fear and the unknown and doubt. And so I'm trying to apply that same principle to kind of the unknown right now. It seems to be working.
God bless you. Good for you. I mean, it sounds like you're going to be going into something you already know a little bit about.
One day,
the podcasting business, but just keep trucking, do one thing every day that's going to get you one step closer to that ultimate dream in life. And you'd be shocked. The timeline starts shrinking. And
is that called quantum jumping? You move the timelines.
There's all kinds of names for it. Yeah. Wow. Any Tony Robbins fans? Any of you Tony Robbins fans? That's one of the main principles of Tony Robbins from way back. I mean, early 80s.
Yeah.
Set a lofty goal. And then, as crazy it is, I want to be the announcer, The Price is Right.
True.
Who picks that?
Yeah.
Then he says, do one thing every day that's going to get you one step closer to that ultimate dream in life, I was talking to a group at the University of Florida, some students, and I was done and I was taking questions and answers, and the young lady, she says, hey, Mr. Fields, God, I know what I want to do. I don't have to listen to my intuition. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I just can't get there. There's no way. I said, well, there's maybe 200-300 people in the room. I said, do you mind telling everybody? Pardon me. I said, what it is, what's your dream? You don't want to give it away if you don't want to. And she said, no, I want to be a singer-songwriter. I want to be on the radio. Mm-hmm. I want to be on American Idol. And I said, wow, lofty goals.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's awesome. What did you do today to get yourself there? Mm-hmm. Well, what can I do? I'm a freshman here at the University of Florida. I said, well, did you write any lyrics today?
Did you practice singing?
Did you practice your instrument or another instrument? Mm-hmm. Did you make any MP3s today? Did you send out any demos to any radio stations to try to get on? Did you try to contact any agents today about getting representation? Did you call any record companies about getting representation with them? What did you do today that's going to help you get one step closer to that ultimate dream in life? You got to start. You got to take that first step. And once you do one thing, one letter, one MP3, one email, one phone call every day, once you do that, all of a sudden, like in the second and third week, you're doing 2 things a day and you don't even realize it. 3 things a day, 4 things a day, 5. And that timeline I was just talking about starts shrinking, man. It's crazy. It's real. It's a real thing. Mm-hmm. You can manifest your way to your own dream.
And that calendar, you start doing a couple things a day, filling that calendar up, boy, it fills up quick.
Yeah, I bet.
Right.
It's amazing how one little thing like that can change your whole direction in anything in life.
Right. And somebody else stood up in another, I was doing IBEW, Electrical Workers Union group, and the guy says, you know, I'm in my profession. This is it. I'm IBEW, you know, and I'm never going to do my lofty goal.
Oh.
And I was like, why? Well, because, you know, I've got the house and the kids and the wife. And I said, well, I understand that. He guys, I got a mortgage. I can't start working on something new. I said, well, that's the crazy thing about dreams and goals, man. You can pull these things along, these things that you say are holding you down, the mortgage, the wife, the kids, whatever. You start working on that lofty goal by doing one thing every day, and the mortgage, the house, the wife, the kids all start coming into the timeline, and they start coming with you to that lofty goal. It starts working its way through to where that's all a part of it. You can still do anything you want to do. I don't care how old you are. It can still be done.
You're right.
Just got to promise them a new car at the end of it. That's my strategy.
New car.
Yeah, exactly. A new car. A new Subaru accent.
There you do the new car.
A lovely etagere.
A Subaru accent for the missus.
Do you know the difference between an etagere and a curio cabinet?
No.
No.
A curio cabinet has a backing to it. An etagere you can see through.
Oh, okay.
I only learned that at The Price is Right after a year of rehearsal. And I said on the microphone in the middle of rehearsal, I said, what the hell? Why are some things curio cabinets and some etagères? And the producers yelled across the way, Kathy Greco, etagères don't have a backing.
I don't even know what that second thing is.
And I was like, okay.
The cabinet without a back.
We can't afford it, Bobby.
I don't even know what that. I thought that was a person.
We call that Walmart furniture around here.
Spit take.
But did they let you do your own writing, or did they have writers for you, or?
Oh no, it's all written. I mean, you have some leeway in just jumping in with little stuff of your own, But Bob Barker turns to the camera. He's messing around with the audience, and all of a sudden, I'm mesmerized. This is in the book. I'm mesmerized. One of my first audition days, I'm feeling kind of comfortable. It's like second or third show, and Bob, I'm just mesmerized by watching Bob talk to the audience and all the killer stories. And oh my God, he was just so enchanting. He really was. And all of a sudden he turns to the camera, Rich Fields, what's the next name on your list? And I was like, God, it's so freaking Jesus Christ.
I don't know, Bob.
Bob, it's going to be Bobby Drizzle. Come on down.
Oh, there we go. That'll be a TikTok moment, I'm sure, Bobby.
I got my t-shirt. I got my t-shirt on. Spay your neuter.
Right?
$1, Bob. $1.
Right. Oh man. So,
did you ever work with Drew Carey? Sorry, I'm catching up.
did I get along?
I mean, did you work with Drew Carey?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I'm the only one that have also that worked with Bob and Drew. Did 3 years with Drew, and amazing, really, really sweet guy. I mean, we were 1 year apart. Not even, we're 8 months apart in age. Wow. Drew's older, and we grew up in the same place. Drew grew up in Cleveland proper. I grew up on the west side of Cleveland. I mean, our high schools were competing. High schools, at football game. I mean, we could have easily have met back then. I mean, we fell, into a friendship real quick. We had a lot in common, man. It was crazy.
That's pretty neat. He seems like a pretty good guy and a funny, like a what am I trying to say? Like a
natural.
Yeah, down to earth guy.
Funny.
Yeah,
down to earth.
Naturally funny.
I figured he was because he was a Marine. I figured that had a lot to do with his personality.
He was
they're not usually bad people.
He was he's a Marine.
Yeah,
he was a sniper with Mr. Rogers.
Not with Mr.
Yeah, I knew
Rogers.
Mr. Rogers was, and that just shocked me. Yeah, Drew Carey, I really like him on Who's Line. I love it. I love him on Who's Line.
Me too.
Me too.
But I just didn't. I don't know. For me, it just didn't click with The Price is Right with me on him.
Yeah. What did you?
I guess it's just trying to replace Bob. I don't know.
Yeah.
Same,
But we grew up with that.
me.
And
Yeah. I mean, that's
for it.
you know.
Through all the
Yeah, we
host
grew up with
auditions,
Bob.
you know, they had a lot of people auditioning for Bob's job, and you know, some were, you know, like older actors, like George Hamilton was one, and he was very good, by the way. George Hamilton was excellent, by the way. I want to say that. And then they had younger people like Mario Lopez and folks like that. You know, they did the whole thing. But the one thing they did not want to do was to try to get another Bob Barker in there. That they knew that was not going to work.
Mario Lopez, really?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Mario.
Yeah, Ryan Seacrest. Ryan Seacrest, who just now got the Wheel of Fortune job. Also in the book. We're auditioning people. It's Bob's last few weeks on the show, and the show's about to start. I'm done with the audience warm-up. I get over to the podium, and I look, and I see the vice president of daytime TV from CBS come walking in the curtain from the side aisles over there of the stage, and she's with Ryan Seacrest, and they both took a seat in the audience. And Ryan stayed and watched an entire episode you know, of a taping day. And I thought, okay, they're absolutely talking to Ryan Seacrest. Well, the next day, my agent gets a phone call from Ryan Seacrest saying, hey, I'd like to have Rich Fields on my radio show. 220 stations across the country, you know, Ryan Seacrest. Coast to coast. And so I go, and they told me, you know, come camera ready, because we videotape the show. So we put it out that way. And they also said, you'll be on for a whole segment. I said, oh, what's that? And they said, oh, about 15 minutes. I was on the entire morning.
Oh, wow.
I was on the entire freaking morning. If he had other guests, he canceled everybody. He had so much fun with me that day. We told stories, man. We played game shows on the air. Of course, Ryan was the host. I was the announcer. Ryan
game shows.
Ryan told me then that he would have taken the job had they been able to change the taping schedule of The Price is Right to a weekend taping schedule. Because he was doing Idol and somebody was still a morning radio show, but he was also doing Idol and something else. This is before, you know, Regis and Kathy Lee gig, whatever they call it. Ryan and I can't even tell you.
I don't know who.
I'm surprised that Alfonso Ribeiro didn't get in there.
Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly. Yeah, Kelly.
Did Bob Barker have a say?
Ryan would have been good. Ryan would have been good for The Price.
He would have been good. He would have been good. He'll do well on Will.
Did Bob Barker have a say in who was going to take over?
No. Bob, you know, Bob is retiring. He's happy to go. I mean, they weren't looking for, you know, they didn't want anybody holding up their decision. You know what I mean?
He didn't care.
Although he did save my job.
That's good.
Did he?
They were going to get rid of me, and I didn't know that. They were going to get rid of me when Bob retired, and they were bringing on, you know, a new host. They were going to wipe everything clean. And when Bob Barker found out that they were going to fire me, not because I was sucked or did anything wrong, just because they were going to make it Drew's show, Bob called us network executives and Fremantle media executives and said, that's suicide. Again, in the book. That's suicide, you guys. You can't change the host out and the voice of the show. You'll lose your entire audience.
Yeah, that would have been weird.
So they kept me, and I stayed 3 more years.
Wow.
Cool.
Well, he knew his audience, and he knew the show. I mean, he was I hate. I don't want to sound. He was at one at that show. He was at peace at that show. The vibe with him, that was just all natural.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, at least. And
like
I grew up watching. So
with Richard Dawson on the original Family Feud.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was
another one who got violent hugs.
When I was in college, it was Richard Karn.
Yeah. God knows how many diseases were passed around when all that kissing was going on.
Oh, I know it. Dawson,
you know, when people went home and were sick for a week.
I was going to say that was way before COVID. So
yeah,
working with Richard Dawson's son, Gary Dawson, on a Florida game show, a Mark Goodson game show, by the way, Florida Lottery's Flamingo Fortune. And having worked on that show down here as a younger kid before any of the Price is Right stuff, that actually helped me out, because that was kind of my calling card after Rod had passed away and I called the Price is Right. They were all ex-Mark Goodson employees. Bob Barker was a Mark Goodson employee. Roger Dobkowitz, the producer of the show. Kathy Greco, everybody there. The show was a Mark Goodson production until Fremantle.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. I forgot.
Well, what's your
about
company?
that.
American, All-American Broadcasting, Fremantle. There's somebody else in there too. I can't remember, but no, that's Bob's sweat and tears. His blood, sweat, and tears helped build that show from 1972, from the day it signed on. Yeah. So, of course, he thought it was his show. Right. When you're the host of the show, you think it's your show anyway. I mean, you treat it like, this is my show. This is my freaking show. Yeah. You may not be executive producer and have final say, but I'll tell you what, the host has a lot of say. A lot. Sure. But with Bob exiting, no.
Yeah.
But they kept me on his word. So
that's good enough for you, though.
He was absolutely right. So, well, I know you've got a good story for us, and I don't know how you wanted extra time, so I don't want to keep you here all night. We got 20 minutes left with you, so if you got, I want you to get your story in with us.
I do. I also want to mention real quick, instead of trying to go search for this on Amazon or anything, it's there. Go to my website, richfields.tv.
Okay.
Richfields.tv. The audio version, I just got done doing the audio version. It's me telling my story.
I'd love to hear that.
And it's actually the cheapest version out there. So
awesome.
But yeah, you guys talk about paranormal stuff, and I mean, I haven't seen Bigfoot or like anything like the Loch Ness Monster, but I will tell you this story, and don't pass judgment. Of course, I think I'm among believers.
Yeah, you're not going to get any judgment here.
No.
I don't even know what you're going to say.
Kind of talking to the Price is Right audience who will see this, because
I hope so. Everyone,
anything Price is Right, they jump on. So
kids who are homesick are going to watch this.
So it's the mid '80s, and I'm working for CBS Radio on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. I'm making fairly decent money, like over $100,000 a year. 1984, 85. And I'm ready to buy my first piece of property. And I'm looking at townhomes in Burbank. And I had a real estate agent, a female real estate agent from Century 21, who was very patient with me. I mean, I kind of knew what I wanted, and there was a lot of crap, and I kept saying no. And she kept showing me a lot of property and never dropping out. Anyway, she takes me to the top of the hills up in Burbank to this row of condominiums up in the hills. And we stop at the office. It's as you drive up the hill to the condominiums, there's an office, or like a real estate office down at the bottom. And she said, I'm supposed to stop down here and get the key to the unit. It's vacant. And so we go in the office, and the guy was really busy. He had some other people there looking at some other property. And he said, yeah, here's the key. It's unit, whatever, C116. And the agent said, and is it vacant? He said, yeah, it's vacant. Absolutely it's vacant. And so we go up to this unit, and the real estate agent, she had the same routine every time. She'd stick a key in the door. She'd get it out of the lockbox. She'd stick a key in the door, and she'd rap on the door every time. And then she'd turn the key, she'd rap again and say, real estate agent. She did this 10 times before this unit. And so this unit, she does the same thing. And as she turns after the real estate agent, second knock, she turns the door and opens up. She go, oh my, excuse me, ma'am, I'm sorry. They told me the unit was vacant. I'm the real estate agent from Century 21, and I've got a prospective buyer. Can I walk him through? Do you mind if that's okay? Oh, okay. And I come in now behind my real estate agent, and I see who she was talking to. And it was this elderly lady sitting on the couch in the living room there. And she was watching a television show on a small TV that was on this spinning table that was between the kitchen area and this living area that this old lady was sitting at. And she had a coffee table in front of her in front of the sofa. And so I enter and I said, oh, hi, pleasure. Thank you. And my real estate agent is still talking to the lady saying, here's my card. My name's Susan such and such. And she lays the card down on the coffee table in front of the lady there. And agent just turns around to me and says, well, anyway, let's make this quick. Here's the kitchen. And she shows me through the kitchen and stuff. And she said, let's go upstairs. There's supposed to be 2 bedrooms upstairs. We go up there, and the real estate agent was like, wow, that took me by surprise. See why I knock a couple times every time? You asked me before on other calls. Why do you keep knocking? You know, she said, this is why. You never know, she says. Yeah. So we're looking around. I'm looking at storage in the closet. I open up one of the closets, and there's all this clothing there, and it's men's suits, and there's these boxes, and the boxes all had men's shoes, tennis shoes or dress shoes or sandals and stuff like that. And my agent literally said, oh, gee, looks like the husband must have died and she hasn't packed this stuff up to go yet. I know. And so she said, come on, let's get out of here. So we go down the stairs, and the old lady's sitting there, you know, she's kind of turned toward the TV, and my agent says, thank you, ma'am. And the lady, you know, motioned or whatever, and we left. And so we go down to the office to turn the key in, and as we're kind of done, really, it was an afterthought. My agent says, oh, to the real estate guy, oh, by the way, hey, don't be telling people there's nobody in there. You know, the owner's there, it's occupied. And he's like, no, it's not. And she said, yeah, it is. She said, Rich? I said, oh yeah, little old lady. And the guy said, little old lady.
What?
He said, what?
Yeah, he said, huh?
The son and daughter just came 2 weeks ago and moved dad out.
Oh.
They are sending for his clothes because mom died there 2 months ago.
Oh, no.
Wow.
He says, there's somebody in the unit. And then my agent said, we talked to her, Rich. I said, yeah. But you want to know something, guys? In retrospect, I did radio for many, many years. And on Halloween, on my radio show, I'd have this real estate agent I'm talking about on my show, and we would tell the story. But you know what we come to find out, and years later? That woman never really said anything to us.
Yeah.
I was talking, my agent was talking, but there was never any vocal. In retrospect, we realized the woman never said. She may have gestured or raised eyebrows or looked pleasant or happy or, you know, been like, but she never said anything. But here's the other thing. You guys, as solid as any of you are sitting there in front of me right now, not an apparition, not a ghostly moving thing. This was a solid looking human being.
Yeah.
Okay? Have you heard this before?
I've heard of it before. Yeah.
Not a ghostly, you can all see through, opaque, you know, kind of,
They say real as you and me standing there. That's what
exactly. And that was the weird thing about it. I mean, so the agent doesn't believe us. He takes the key, says, come on. We go up to C116. My agent said, better not, because he stuck the key in the door right away. He was kind of mad, like somebody was there.
Yeah.
Said, you better knock. Oh, bullshit. He opened the door and he went in. We went in behind him. And, you know, he was like, hello, anybody here? My agent went upstairs. Ma'am, hello, are you here? Nobody there. The TV that was turned on and pointed toward the couch on this little table between the kitchen and the sofa was turned off and now turned toward the kitchen, not toward the living room and the couch. And my agent's card was still laying on the coffee table in front of the old lady.
Wow. It's crazy, isn't it?
We were in the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was she watching?
It really
it was a game show. My real estate agent and I have talked about this. There was a game show on. I can't remember what it was, you know. But it was a mid-afternoon. It had to be. It had to be. The Price is Right.
That's kind of what I was thinking, but I was wondering, like, sure or not.
I mean, like 11 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. The noon.
She was a big fan.
Yeah. Well, I think.
So there you go. That's a true story, man.
That's probably because
I've heard a lot of people say they were solid.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Solid as fuck.
I'd say it's probably because you were
be running into them at the grocery store and not even know it because we didn't converse with them or anything. That's how solid this lady was.
Yeah. That's interesting.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it stuck with you all these years. Did you get that unit, by the way?
I did not. I passed.
Yeah, I don't blame
Imagine
you.
that.
I was thinking that would be a hard pass.
Yeah.
The price.
I don't know. You can charge her rent.
No ghost money.
No good.
That's kind of wild. You look up real estate stories like that.
Little connection to something, man. Yeah, knock on wood.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's tons of real estate stories.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to get some on the show, but real estate people and hospice nurses won't talk much.
Yeah, they don't want to.
Because they don't want to. Yeah, hospice nurses won't talk at all. I thought for sure they'd open up.
Yeah, they won't.
Huh.
I thought it was a plethora. I thought, well, I found a mother load.
Is it a code?
I just don't think they want to discuss it.
Yeah.
But they all have stories. If you get on TikTok and look up like hospice nurse stories on there, and the comments alone are worth their weight in gold.
Hmm.
The angels and the relatives in the corner and the what's it called? Like a day before someone passes away and they're just like 100% again.
Yeah.
That shit that scares the hell out of me. Because what if that happens to me?
Oh.
It's like,
That happened to my grandmother.
That's happened a lot in my family.
Is it common with pets?
Yeah. But they'll come back. A lot of people in my family, they have they'd get well the day before.
Like 8 hours.
Yeah. Well, it's like
Then
a
die.
day before.
Yeah.
You want to know something? The last couple of days I wasn't feeling well, but I've been feeling great lately.
Yeah, look out. Circling the drain.
These are very sick people, or very, very sick, the older people, and they'll like nothing's wrong with them the day before.
They'll revive up. It's almost like they revive up to say their final goodbyes.
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah,
do you think that's what happened to Grandpa Joe and Willy Wonka? Like he couldn't move for years, and all of a sudden he's up running around.
You're probably right.
Hidden meaning. Hidden meaning. That's why there's no part 2. Grandpa Joe died.
Yeah. Could be.
Rich, you heard it here.
Write it down.
I'm just soaking it all in. It's something else.
$1, Bob. $1.
$1, Bob. $1. What else you guys want to know? Anything?
Before you go, will you do the brand new car? The sound for that. Do your brand new car.
How about a new car?
It's a Kia Sportage, 2-door, stick shift, no AC.
Nice. Very nice.
That's
Come
about
on.
$2.
Yep.
I always liked it when it was like a Daewoo or something. Like, what in the hell is that thing?
It's a Daewoo.
You can't fit 2 average Americans in the front seat if you saved your life.
I accidentally gave away a Corvette once.
You accidentally gave away a Corvette?
How did you accidentally give away a Corvette?
And Andy, I think it was you that asked if I wrote the script.
That was Jason.
Yeah.
Was it Jason? And this boiled down to a script writer problem, not mine. I announced what was written and in effect gave away a brand new Corvette when Bob was about to play a game where, of course, the contestant had to figure out what the price of the Corvette was.
Oh, no.
And in the description of the car, it said, retail value, $95, Bob.
Oh, no.
Bob looked at me, and he's got that long microphone. He looked at me.
Now, did the guy win the car?
He looked around, and he said to me, "Rich," I said, "Yeah, Bob. This is all on the air."
Yeah.
Did you just say the price of the car? And I looked down at the script, and I didn't catch it yet. I said, "Yes, Bob. It's $58,793."
Oh no!
You said it.
And he said, "Rich, I'm about to play a pricing game with the contestant. They're supposed to figure out the price of the car." I was like, "Oh my God,
Ron Burgundy over here."
Yeah.
I mean, we had a whole table read, a whole morning production meeting. We read the entire script. We had a whole 45-minute rehearsal for each show. How did they miss it then?
How did it slip by?
And then so they stopped tape, and Bob says to the audience, well, we can't kill the messenger. It wasn't Rich's fault. We've looked at the script. It actually says what he said it says. And so we're going to give the Corvette to the contestant. And the audience went berserk, and so did the contestant.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And they said, and then Bob said it on top of it all. We're going to come back to tape. You're never going to see this on TV. He said, and we're going to pull out another car and another game, and the contestant that just won the Corvette is going to get to play for another car.
Oh, wow.
How many cars did they have back
That
then?
was cool.
Oh, lots of cars. Warehouse full of cars.
Really?
Warehouse full of cars and boats and trucks and anything you want, man.
Remember that Netflix special about the guy that like hacked Prices Right?
I know.
I'm saying remember like you don't know.
I know him. I know him well. As a matter of fact, TMZ implicated me in part of the cheating scandal.
Really?
Oh, really?
Well, Terry,
that's an interesting one.
Terry's a former meteorologist.
Okay.
I'm a former meteorologist now. I was still at the time. I was still a meteorologist.
Wow.
And they were contending that, and we both had gone to Mississippi State University, and they were contending that we knew each other. And that I somehow cheated, but I didn't. And neither did Terry. I mean, he was just getting the answers from the dude in the audience, you know?
Yeah.
Which is okay. Everybody yells out answers, but this guy knew the real freaking answers.
Oh.
That documentary was amazing.
It's really good.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, download it. It's really good. I mean, it's raw because it's not like a professional production company put it together. But that's why I think it's genuine. That's why I think it's good. All right. I gotta go.
Okay.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can I just say one more time?
Yes.
Go to richfields.tv, www.richfields.tv, the audiobook, the hardcover. Hardcover came out great. The paperback's all there. It's all about The Price is Right and how I knew I'd get there someday. Some great backstage stories with Bob Barker. Going to blow your mind, man. First time.
How do we get an autographed copy?
How
do we get an autographed copy?
Yeah, I'll do it for you. Check it out, man. First time I thought I was going to get fired in Bob Barker's dressing room just days into the job. So crazy stuff. Thank you for having me on, you guys.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
I really enjoyed your stories.
If we want the autographed copy, go to your website and just is there a way to notation that
after you get the book, after you get the book, just send it to me. I'll send you an email right now with my address on it.
All right. Cool.
Awesome.
Not a problem at all. People are doing it all day, every day. I probably got some around here to autograph right now. So,
thank you, Rich. I apprate it.
Pleasure to meet you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rich, I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was great. And
he was fascinating. Just absolutely
I'd love to
fascinating.
talk to him more.
yeah, I know. I was worried we weren't going to get as much time as we did with him. So his schedule.
I totally lost track of time. By the way, that was all my fault.
No.
And I forgot it was Wednesday, so that's a good one.
Oh well.
Plus I've got my studio's torn apart. All this stuff. I had to like rush and put it back together.
No.
I was like, son of a bitch. I really want to talk to that guy.
So Glenn, whenever he sends you that email with his address, be sure to get that out to us.
Yeah, I will. And speaking of which, our next guest is backstage. So I'm going to bring him out. He's been patient with us. And Wayne, are you with us? Oh, we got the black screen. Maybe he's still backstage. But yeah, that was great. Rich has been very great with me as far as emailing and stuff because he had very little time, and then initially he's like he didn't know if he was going to be able to, and then he came through I won't say at the end, but he came
very
through.
Passionate fella.
Absolutely, he does a great hype. So
yeah,
and
a new car,
a new car,
a new Daewoo.
Yeah, I'd forgotten the Daewoo.
Me too. They used to make stereos. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yes. And TVs. And they moved up to TVs and then cars.
A TV.
A Daewoo
say.
TV. I had a Daewoo. I had a Daewoo.
Actually, as their technology improved, they took on bigger projects.
I know. Yeah.
Or kept getting bought out.
Well, it
They
could
were
be that
Korean,
too.
weren't they?
Yes, I think it's Korean. I think so.
I don't know. Wayne, are you with?
My tent shipped a while ago. I'm kind of pumped.
Yay.
Wayne is bricks.
Wayne is. He's invisible.
Wayne hit the bricks on you.
Wayne, you're invisible.
He's not muted. And it's showing he's got his video on, so I don't know. Hiding him and bringing him back out. Okay, well, we got that at least.
Got the box.
Yeah. That's weird. Wayne, if you can hear us.
Stephanie, I plan on getting it in one form or another.
Yeah, I had the Kindle, but now that I know he'll autograph it, I'm gonna.
Yeah,
I'm starting to realize autograph books are like a little.
They're a treat.
Treasure that I'm taking. I'm getting. I didn't know I liked them until I started doing this.
Yeah.
Now I've got a little stack of them over here.
Yeah, they're pretty.
So does Glenn. I hooked him up.
Oh.
Yeah, you did. You did. You got me one, and I got one from somebody else. I can't remember who I got it from.
This lady here, Gina Ramsey, has been on my show, but I've never haven't aired the episode yet. And she sent me a book unsolicited.
Oh, that's cool.
She goes, I had such a good time. We send you a book. You autographed it.
Nice.
That was very nice.
I've got several autographs.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dean. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm having trouble hearing you, and I keep talking over you. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Hello.
His hardcover book is just $33, and paperback 23, and that's off of his website. We know Glenn does. He's sitting on it.
Yeah.
Glenn just bought a Gazelle tent. He ain't got no money left either.
That's right. Hold on, I got two Waynes now. Wayne, or
it's a double Wayne.
This is weird. I've never, in all the years in live, I've never had the years, and all the time in live, I've never had
doing this in October of last year. We act like
yeah, that was April. Come on. Yeah, and what's really weird is neither of them are showing that he doesn't have his microphone or his video going. They both show that they're active. I don't know.
Can you disconnect both of them? Maybe get them to come back in. That's what I would do. Just disconnect them all.
Oh hell!
When that crap starts happening to me, I said, "Oh man, what happened? Oh, he must have disconnected. I would kill him."
Well,
yeah. Maybe he just needs to reboot or something.
Yeah, that's what I started to say. Have him reboot his computer, and that usually works. That usually works for me.
Sometimes the strange factor just happens on our show. So
yeah.
Did y'all get static when he started telling that ghost story?
No.
I couldn't hear him half the time. Maybe in my earpod.
You have a history with them.
Yeah.
Froze a lot. So did you, Glenn, unless you like, whoa, disconnected.
I don't know what happened to Jason. He's connected, disconnected.
I think that was Bobby.
Yeah, I went everywhere for where I was supposed to be.
Sorry. Refrigerator. Wayne, we've still got a black screen.
Speak to us.
Volume's up. I don't see the microphone moving for him.
If you can hear us, you might want to reboot your computer and try again. That sometimes helps.
Internet.
Oh, there you are.
We hear you. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
I don't know where I am.
Well,
You don't know where you
Well, that fits right in with the rest of us.
We need to call someone for you.
Do you have a cover over your camera?
It was lit up a minute ago, but now it's not.
Huh.
Oh, is it like a Logitech?
It says integrated camera.
Oh yeah.
I've done this 100 times. I don't know what's going on.
Bigfoot, man, I'm telling you.
Yeah, we did tell a scary story.
Bigfoot's messing with me. Every time I'm around something now, it messes up.
It says my video is enabled and I can see my camera looking at me.
Oh, really?
We can't see you.
Sound good.
Yeah, you sound great.
Well, I can't beat Rich. I'll tell you that. That guy was great.
He was good.
And I watched 2 episodes of The Price is Right today.
Oh.
And it wasn't because you were having him on. I watched them regularly for as much as I could for the last 40 years.
Oh, wow.
So,
That was such a good show back in the day.
Yeah.
I grew up on it, you know. So, well, you know, if you were home from school, so
Homesick.
Homesick.
Yeah, homesick.
I'm still trying, guys. Yes.
Okay.
No, I was going to say at the bottom, the video, you can select different ones. I don't know if maybe that helps. Bobby, you're our technical expert. You help me out here. I don't know.
Yeah, if you go down by the camera where that little arrow is to the right, you can select your video input. It might have changed.
Hold on.
There's a little arrow just to the right of the camera at the bottom.
I might come in for a second time again. You're going to have to get rid of one of me.
Double Wayne's.
Yeah.
Still black.
Oh, how are you doing that?
No, because
he added that other video.
Oh.
He clicked add cam and not stop.
Oh.
I see where it says it's using my microphone.
Okay.
You see the little arrow just to the right of the camera next to the microphone?
Not on mine. I got a little arrow pointing upward.
Yes.
Yeah, click that. And it'll bring up your video. And and under the words video input, it'll tell you what camera you're using.
I don't see that.
If I can do an eternal window.
Oh yeah, I see a camera. Control sharing.
Let me see if I can do a demo here with the eternal window. There we go. All right, you see this right here that popped up? And then right next to there, you click that and it shows all your cameras. You do this.
Such a goober.
You're going to give this a psychedelic look there, Bobby.
Yeah.
Okay, turn it off. Stop sharing.
So I'm showing Wayne's screen. I'm showing your screen, I think.
How are you showing Wayne's?
It says I'm showing it.
Really?
It's the show. Yeah.
Oh, no.
It says I was. Hold on a minute. Hold on.
In my screen share.
Oh, in your screen.
Yeah, that's Wayne's screen there.
What?
Hey Wayne, click next to you. You see where the camera is? It's blue on the bottom of your page. Click that camera.
Yeah. Okay, click beside
now
it.
click that. Now click that arrow right there.
Yeah.
Now go to video input and push the little arrow next to it right there.
Just click that.
That little arrow there. No video. Huh. I'll be dog.
Integrated camera.
Click that mirror my video and take that off.
Yeah.
Odd. I thought for sure we had something. High resolution. All right, never mind. Yeah, maybe Wayne just needs.
Oh, wait. Okay, no. Do you have another camera besides the integrated camera, or is it?
That's weird. And he can see himself.
Huh. That's weird. is
Click. Go back to where you had it and just click no video, and then flick it back. Not that one. The next one.
weird. No, the little
Right in the middle. Right in the middle there, to the left.
on the little arrow.
Stop all secondary cameras. Definitely click that.
Yeah, click that.
Yeah, click that, and it's go to integrated. That little arrow beside integrated camera, and click no video. And now go, and I'll do it again and click video. Click your camera. There you
go. Oh, it does. Is it showing a camera?
No, I was hoping it would activate it. You never know what happened.
Yeah, it's still the black screen.
Might be a reboot. We don't think they can fix that.
Yeah.
Might have lost it.
You might want to reboot your computer. It may pick up your camera.
Probably about the only thing that didn't save it.
Yeah.
It's like it just lost it.
Yeah.
Might have got mixed up.
Unless you don't have a cover over your camera lens, do you?
A little slide over cover.
We had audio from him, and now we don't have audio.
I heard him. He's there somewhere.
Hello?
Yeah, no.
I feel like I'm at work right now.
Yeah.
Ma'am? Ma'am.
Ma'am. Ma'am.
Yeah.
Sir.
Ross is asking if he could have had it come unplugged or he lost a battery, maybe.
No.
No, it's integrated. It's not going to do either of those. If that happens, something bad's happened. Integrated means it's inside the lid.
Yeah. Ross is pretty much saying that rebooting it is probably the only thing that's going to save it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can you message him and let him know?
Yeah, Warren, if you can hear us, well, hopefully he can hear us.
Wayne, not Warren.
Warren.
Oh, no, another W name.
Oh, God. I was looking over there. I thought, hello, Warren. I'm wondering he wasn't answering me.
Warren.
Warren, it's not your fault.
Wayne, Wendell.
It's a why? What is it with W name? It was W and Christine. What was her name? Christine and Nicole. I should have asked Rich if he knew any of the Big Brother people, being as that he was on CBS. But you have so many questions, and I wanted to hear his ghost story so bad. So, well, I didn't know it was a ghost story, but I wanted to hear the story, and so I was like, all right,
the behind the scenes stuff.
I have a sneaking suspicion we're probably going to get him. Well, hopefully we will get him back again.
That would be cool.
I'm here. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Well,
we can't see you.
How about if I share that screen and we put a video on of showing fires while we talk?
We can do that. We can do that for sure. Yeah, share the screen and because you have so many interesting stories, I'm sure, working with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. So
yeah, that'll work.
And I always thought that the BATF was just a party, but who knew?
Okay, it was on your 40th, Glenn.
Why don't you ask me a question and we'll get rolling.
All right. Well, you started off your career with the local police department after you had a law degree. Now, when you got your law degree, were you an actual lawyer and went on to be a police officer, or how did that work?
I don't know where you got your information.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I thought you would. Did you not work for a local police department? I swear I read that.
Can you see anything on your screen?
No, sir, I cannot.
Let me get rid of
I
it.
swear I read that.
You haven't shared your screen yet.
Yeah, you haven't shared it with me.
Oh, okay.
Sharing is caring.
Yeah. I don't even know where to go right now.
Bottom where it says share screen. Here,
Yeah,
hit share.
It's not highlighted.
Those little icons at the bottom, right next to where it says leave and it says share.
Yeah, it pops up. Window. Entire screen. Can you see something now?
Not yet.
Nope. Okay. Well, I did work for a small police department. I also worked for the state of Rhode Island while I was in college. I was doing undercover work. Not at the college, but buying drugs in the state of Rhode Island before I got onto ATF. Life circumstances. I got on ATF because when I was at Bryant College, which is now Bryant University in Rhode Island, they had a criminal justice program, and I raised my hand an awful lot during one of my classes. And the instructor was the head of the Rhode Island Division of Drug Control, and he said, "Could you come up here after class?" And I did, and he says, "You want to do some work?" And he had me doing undercover work for the next year and a half around the state.
Oh, nice.
Then, I finished at the top of my class in criminal justice, and I graduated without a job. It's the type of thing where you have to apply for jobs and have to be hiring and everything else. And I didn't really want to be a local small cop because I didn't want to be confined by the borders of the town. And the Rhode Island State Police, like a lot of state police, are paramilitary, very tough to get into. And so I went to work for Dennis PD down on Cape Cod just for the summer. I was an undercover cop there, not a uniform cop. And I only went to the station twice the entire summer.
Wow.
Buying drugs all over the place, lying my ass off to people, which really gets to you after a while. I was playing on the softball team, and I think I was the only straight person on the softball team. And, stuff like that. And because of that, when the ATF was hiring, I did well on the exam. And then because of those two jobs I previously had, they hired me in June of 1976.
Now, that was back before the arson unit was even formed, wasn't it?
That's correct. I was doing gun work my first 4 years.
Okay.
My second book, Bang, Boom, Burn, has 21 short stories. The first story is about I had a seizure of 46 M16s in Massachusetts.
Wow.
Really?
They were stolen 4 years earlier. Actually, 92 of them were stolen 4 years earlier from an armory in Mass. And there was this house that had a little fire, and I still wasn't doing fires yet. It was 1980. I still wasn't doing fires, but I had good friends on the little local police department. And when the fire occurred and the firefighters went in there and they uncovered one barrel with 17 guns in it, and they called the cops, and the cops called me. And we got a search warrant, the first telephonic search warrant. I talked to my supervisor, who talked to the U.S. attorney, who brought it before the judge. And so by telephone, we got the search warrant. And there was 46 M16s. There was 17 other stolen guns, and there was about $1 million worth of stolen goods in the house.
Wow.
And it's just a little suburban raised ranch. And the guy took off, and he disappeared. And luck would have it, a couple months later, he got caught drunk driving and didn't have any real ID on him. And he once he got more sober, he told the cop, he said, he said, you'd call the FBI if you knew who you had. Well, ATF never got any respect anyway. I'd be at the door, introduce myself as an ATF agent, and the woman would turn around to her husband and say, hey, Jim, the FBI's here. You know, so nobody knew who ATF was. So Charlie, he confessed about the guns, no problem and stuff, and he did 8 years, but he didn't tell me who he stole them for, who he was holding them for, because the other 46 were found in Northern Ireland, along with the 8 M60s, much larger weapon that were found in Northern Ireland that's stolen from that armory. But so I did gun cases for the first 4 years, and then I started doing fire cases, and I volunteered for the ATF Arson Task Force group in Boston, which originated in March of 1982.
So it was an international operation, or?
On the guns?
Yeah.
Well, you know, we had a famous bad guy here named Whitey Bulger.
Right.
And they were shipping guns to Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
But for the NRA.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
that's where they found 46 of them.
Oh, wow.
But the ones in the house here in Massachusetts, we can only guess they were being held for the head of a organized crime group, the mafia here. Okay. And he was the guy who they were being held for was still in prison. He was due to get out shortly, and he did. But we had the guns. And Charlie begged me to stay in prison with him that first night. We picked him up. He said, there's probably a hit out on me for losing all those guns. And I said, Charlie, you tell me who we're talking about, and I'll stay. I'll do anything I can. Charlie wouldn't tell me. And so Charlie sent his common law wife out to find out the answer, if there was a hit out on him.
Is Charlie still alive today?
Charlie died 2 years before I wrote the book, because I tried reaching out to Charlie. You know, the old time criminals like Charlie, he would never shoot me or something like that. He would never. Right. He was never pissed at me. I saw him after he got out of prison on the steps of a courthouse because he got arrested again, and we both went, I know you. And he went, I know you. And I said, he told me, I told you I'd never change. He said, still doing the same stuff. So that old time criminal probably would have sat down with me and talked to me. I really wanted to interview him for that book, for that chapter, but didn't happen. So,
wow.
But I really enjoyed doing the firework once I got there. It was a niche. And not a lot of people in ATF would really like to do fire investigations and join the arson group. And eventually, a few years later, I also became a certified fire investigator, which I go into the scenes and help figure out where the fire started and what caused it. And I did that for 16 years with ATF and another 17 plus years on the private side.
Arson's one of the hardest crimes to solve, isn't it?
Absolutely. You might be able to figure out where and how it started. But trying to make a case against somebody, again, I go to the second book. I'll tell you about the first book when you want to, but the second book is, again, 21 short stories, and I have arson for profit cases in there. That's when somebody burns a building for insurance purposes. So we arrested a dentist, and I'm not an anti-dent type, folks.
Next thing you know, you're going to say they have their own schools.
Yeah, something like that.
They do have their own schools.
So Dr. Lehman, he got too big for his britches, and he got involved with big properties and real estate deals. And he had 4 major things going on one time. Newport, Rhode Island, very expensive. Nantucket, Mass, the island off the coast, very expensive. And Dover, Massachusetts. It's all countryside with fields full of horses and stuff like that, and beautiful properties. Well, Dr. Lehman was involved with 3 different projects at the same time. And he was going broke. The day of the fire, he sold his boat for $187,000. How many of us can sell our boats for $187,000?
How many can afford a boat? Period.
This is back in the late 80s, too.
Yeah.
So
that's a massive.
Then he went to his property to check. It was 25 acres divided into 5 lots, and there was one big 1880s home on one of the lots.
Oh, wow.
And he went to check to see if the grass was cut, because it's June, late June, and the grass around here gets to be about 18 inches tall. But instead of calling his landscapers, he went and drove out of his way, way out of his way, to check on the grass. But he didn't drive up the driveway. He drove through a break in the old stone wall and drove up through the grass and drove up behind the house through the grass. And as he was exiting the property through the grass, instead of coming right down the driveway, he ran into a couple who were going to put the canoe on the pond that was at the back of the property. And they stopped side by each. That's how they say it around here, side by side, and spoke for a moment. Who are you? He said, oh, we got permission from the previous owners to go fishing on the pond. So, okay. And he takes off, and he almost crashes into somebody as he comes out through the stone wall, because now he wants to get away.
Mm-hmm.
And they put the canoe in the water, and they look at the runaway barbecue at the back of the house. And then 3 or 4 minutes later, the sirens start, because it wasn't a barbecue. There was gasoline poured on the first floor, on the second floor, and in the attic of this beautiful big old mansion.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I'm an expert in fire science and how long it would take for this, and pour the gasoline and get it lit, and for them to see it and everything else. Nobody else in the world could have set this fire.
Yeah.
But I never thought of it back then. But in the 2020s, you think about stuff as white professional people with, a jury did not want to convict Dr. Lehman of setting that fire.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of funny things happen along the way. Plus, his net worth went from $3 million to $1 million at the time of the fire. He was bleeding money, and but he got acquitted. So, and then we had 2 school teachers, husband and wife. They did an investment property, and they were at the property with a bogus story at 9:30 at night, and the male of the husband and wife, he took off into the woods because a cop saw him, and he took off for a while, and they arrested him, and he had combustible liquids on his clothing, gasoline and petroleum products poured from the basement stairs up to the second floor stairway, and they got acquitted. I mean, you have to actually catch the person almost with that match in their hand.
Gosh.
So it is a hard crime to prosecute.
Oh.
I was just reading a story about the Appomattox fires, and I don't know if you remember anything about those in Virginia, but it was a husband and wife couple, and they got literally caught red-handed, I believe, by the state police, because it was a small town, and they basically had roadblocks out looking for them at night, knowing something was going to burn. And of course, he had a MO. So yeah, it's hard to investigate. It's hard to prosecute, and it's even harder to keep them in jail nowadays. But that's another story.
Yeah, you're right. That's another story. But fires are fascinating, and I've ruined the romance with my wife. We sit by the fireplace, and did I do something?
No.
I said, look at the logs over there. I said, look at that. The smoke that's coming up on the right-hand side. I said, let's say about 30 seconds, that smoke's going to ignite. and folks, you got to believe me when I tell you this one line right now. Wood does not burn. Okay. Raise your hand if you believe me. I can see you guys.
Wood doesn't burn?
No. Yeah. Actually, only gases burn. So like natural gas will burn and vapors of gasoline will burn, but the liquid gasoline doesn't burn. But
Right.
wood, if you take a match to a piece of wood, you don't have enough energy to get it going. But if
That's
you
true.
put some newspaper underneath that fire, and then you can readily get newspaper, because what happens is it breaks down to its simpler volatile components.
Mhm.
And those volatile components are the gases. And then it heats up your kindling type of thing, and it heats the kindling, it makes gases. And it's those gases that ignite. If you watch a log really close in a campfire or something really close,
Burns around it.
watch about 1/4 inch above the piece of wood. You'll see a line of flames just above it, and that's actually the gases of the wood. So there's your fire science lecture for today.
Yeah, it's a rapid oxidation is really what it is.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's perfect. Rapid oxidation process that emits heat and light. That's, you know. So let me tell you a little bit about 9 guys who burned 264 buildings in 2 years in and around Boston. 3 of them were cops in Boston. 3 of them were firefighters.
Wow.
Yeah, and they started setting fires in and around Boston 2 weeks before our arson task force group formed in Boston. We didn't know about them.
Yeah.
And they didn't know about us. It was pure coincidence that this happened. And they started setting these fires because of something in Massachusetts called Proposition 2.5. It's a tax cutting measure. If you had a piece of property, $100,000, you can only be taxed $2,500 on that property. And we have a lot of old cities and towns in Massachusetts, and the property values back 1980, when this got voted in, were very, very low.
Mm-hmm.
And Boston had so many abandoned buildings back then, old dwellings, and they weren't worth anything. So the cities and towns said, how are we going to pay our civil servants? So who's the usual suspects who gets laid off? It's police, fire, teachers, maybe some DPW, that type of thing. So Boston lost 600 firefighter positions in 2-year period of time out of 1,700 firefighters. That is well over a third. So these guys, besides being cops, firefighters, one owned a security company. Besides that, they were fire buffs. Any of you guys who've been in the fire business, are you a little bit of a buff?
I like to watch. I like to watch stuff burn.
Yeah.
Pyro.
So, fire buffs are no different than a sports enthusiast.
Yeah.
They have a hobby, and they like to collect equipment. They like to collect memorabilia. They listen to fire calls, and in some cases, they go to fires and like to take pictures and watch the firefighting operations. That doesn't make you a criminal.
Right.
Unless you get together in one of the parking lots and start talking about Prop 2.5 and the layoffs and say, what are we going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe if we set enough fires, they'll rehire the people. So that's the simple version of what they did. And I called it a twisted version of Robin Hood. Instead of stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, let's set enough fires to get our brothers back on the job.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters back on the job. So they went about setting a lot of abandoned buildings, figuring firefighters might not get hurt that way. And a lot of them were what we call 3 families, 3-deckers.
Mm-hmm.
I was told by a firefighter friend of mine who's died this past year, he said, stop calling them triple-deckers. That's a sandwich.
Oh my gosh.
He says 3-deckers is right. Triple-deckers not. So they targeted a lot of those, and then they wanted a little more action. And June 3rd, 1982, they did Sparrow Toy Company, which was 1,000 feet long by 300 feet wide. And fire burned for hours and hours and caused multi-million dollars. And the company moved right out of Massachusetts afterwards and lost jobs and tax revenue and all that stuff. And 33 firefighters got hurt that day, but yet a couple days later they were at it again. And then they used to set one fire one night, 2 fires the next night. They set up to 10 fires in one night.
Dang.
June 11, 1982 was the busiest night in Boston Fire Department history. There were at least 4 multiple alarm fires, a 9, a 6, a 4, and a 3, plus a half a dozen other fires that they set. So they were running ragged. We had departments responding from 17 miles away. Some of the first units into a fire came from an outside town, had no idea where they were going. No GPS back then, folks.
Yeah.
You know? So Boston Fire, Boston Police, and ATF were running around ragged, not knowing who was doing this.
That's awful.
Yeah. But by November 1982, they had set about 150 buildings on fire. Not even counting the dumpsters, they did about 100 of those. So I called it on the front of my book, and inside the book, I didn't call it actually, it's a quote, the largest arson case in the history of the country, because altogether they did 264 buildings. And you have a conspiracy of 9 people doing this. But it was actually a quote from the U.S. attorney back then, Bill Weld, who became our governor after, and then I did a half-ass run towards president once upon a time. But so that was a quote in the book. And on the front cover of my book, I put the largest arson case in the history of the country, and I did not put quotation marks around it. I put a period. And the covers were done by my son-in-law, by the way.
They're nice. The pictures on them are nice.
Yes. The Burn Boston Burn one, the actual building on fire there, it was actually taken, that picture was taken by master arsonist Greg Bemis, who, full disclosure, I have a relationship, personal, friendly, professional relationship with Greg Bemis today.
Mm-hmm.
I go out to dinner with him every few months. We talk on the phone every couple months. It was a weird thing. He used to send us Christmas cards when he went to prison. I take him out for his birthday every year, that type of thing. It's weird.
That's okay.
It's Greg Bemis. I interviewed him for 200 to 400 hours after he decided to come over to the good guy side.
Yeah.
And I got to know him really well. And when he went to prison, he wrote a journal of the same stories he told me. We went to every fire scene, no matter what it looked like. We went to vacant lots, burned out shells, or rehab buildings. And we recorded the question, same question every time. Greg, what'd you do on this one? Who are you with?
Mm-hmm.
He would describe everything in great detail.
Mm-hmm.
And then he wrote a 163-page journal when he went to prison. And I have that journal, and I use that in Burn Boston Burn.
Oh, okay.
The first half of the book almost reads like fiction,
mm-hmm.
because there was dialogue between the bad guys. And I know Greg well enough, and he told me those stories, and then he wrote those stories. And I used those stories because I believe I know how they sounded. I know the words they used. So
mm-hmm.
I believe it's pretty accurate when he wrote it in his book, and then I put them as in my book, when in his journal, that is. And so a lot of people think it's fiction to begin with. And there's not much investigative stuff going on in the first half of the book. It's the bad guys are winning. You know?
Yeah. So what you did is you said, like, what would you do in this building to set it on fire? And he pretty much said what he would do and how he would do it and who he'd bring with him and all that.
What he actually did, Deanna.
What he actually did.
Oh yeah, not what he would do. No,
he was there and perpetrated it.
He was at 260 of the 264.
Oh, okay.
He's the only guy that was at Almost every fire.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I had that right.
No, he's the one who came up with a little device that they use, a time delay device. He's the one who they used his car the most. He's the one who devised a threat letter that was sent to the TV station that was covering it the most. They were trying to extort the city of Boston by saying, if I am the Friday Firebug was a nickname and Mr. Flare was a nickname. I am Mr. Flare. I am going to continue burning these until you rehire these people and open the fire companies that you closed. And if you tear down the abandoned buildings, we will target occupied buildings. It was a threat letter. And it's domestic terrorism is what they were doing long before that term became popular.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing case that relationships help break the case, because I was friendly with other investigators outside of Boston and with a TV cameraman. And he's my biggest supporter, this guy, Nat Whittemore. He was a WBZ Boston cameraman for 35, 40 years. But he was also a member of the Boston Sparks Association, one of those groups of fire buffs. Okay. And his job was to go out every night with his camera and photograph these fires that were happening so frequently. And November 21, 1982 was a lumberyard fire. And he was there, and he came around the corner, and 4 or 5 guys were on piles of lumber just hooting and hollering. They would cheer for the home team. Okay, who's the home team? The fire is the home team.
Yeah.
They would cheer for the home team. And they would just make a lot of noise. And Nat started swinging his camera in that direction. And one of the Boston cops, who was out of uniform, but reached over to his shoulder holster, pulled out a handgun, and waved it above his head like he was on a bucking bronco. And then when the other friend said, "Hey, he's filming you," he put it back in his holster, and they laughed about it and stuff like that. But because of that simple video, it doesn't make him arsonist, does it?
No.
No.
But it sure does make him suspicious.
Yeah. We always see a lot of the same people because the sparks would run from fire to fire. So
yeah.
So there's a lot of other guys who were running from fires that you might suspect them for a while. But we knocked on the cop's door a couple days later, and my partner and I interviewed him. He lied straight to our faces, and my partner's putting his trench coat on like he did every day. And he said, "Oh, my grandfather used to make lamps out of those things. There was a firebox, the pull boxes that are on poles and stuff. Well, there was one sitting on the living room floor. And my partner, Billy, walked a little closer so we could see the box number on the front, 1712. And we ran back to our office because we had mimeographed a copy of the 14 of them missing that year in Boston, a mimeograph sheet. Nobody has those anymore. Yeah. And it was under Billy's blotter on his desk. Okay. So box 1712 was the first one missing that year. And in Boston, there's only 1 or 2 missing in any one year. There were 14 of them because these guys stole a good dozen of them.
Oh, wow.
And they stole them for various reasons. And it's stolen property when you have one. So, but they stole them because, not just memorabilia, a trophy, because if you have a fire at, say, A and B Street, and you steal the box from B and C Street, and the firehouse is closed at C and D Street, so now in the middle of the night in some of these neighborhoods, you have no way of notifying people. You're not going to knock on some stranger's door in the middle of the night in Boston, in some of these neighborhoods. And there's not a ton of traffic at 3 a.m. anyway in the residential neighborhoods. And that fire would grow exponentially. And that's what they wanted. They wanted big fires. And I got probably a dozen pictures in the books. And the books that you get from me, I saw Rich talking about his. I have a website, burnbostonburn.com.
Okay.
All one word, burnbostonburn.com. And both of my books are on that website, and you just can hit the PayPal button and pay with a credit card type of thing, or other ways. But if you get them from Amazon or get them from a bookstore, they don't have color photos. But mine,
Really?
yeah.
Really?
Well, it's too expensive.
Oh, okay.
But I have a printer in Ohio who does a pretty good job and at a pretty good price. And so I put color in both of my books. Yes, some of them black and white in both because they were just old and done in black and white. But there's at least 10 or 12 color photos in each one of fires and stuff like that. And by the way, if you do get it from burnbostonburn.com, that comes right to my house. And upstairs, I have 300 books right now. Soft covers and hard covers, and I sign each one before I put them in the envelope and mail them to you.
Very cool.
That's how
Awesome.
that part goes. But
Nice.
so with that stolen firebox, Bobby Grabluski was the cop's name. And I interviewed Bobby for 200 to 400 hours eventually. So I talked about these people by their first name, you know?
Yeah.
So Bobby got charged with receiving stolen property, and the Boston police just took him off the street and took his gun away and put him up in dispatch. They call it the turret here because it's top floor and dispatch. And they were conducting internal affairs investigation. Now, here's a small world, right? Boston has about 750,000 people in the city itself. And Billy Murphy, my partner, his father-in-law was the head of the Boston Police Department internal affairs. You know, they didn't like us going after the cops. So
Yeah.
they did not like that at all. So, but it took them well over a year to investigate this little receiving stolen property thing. They never did a thing about it.
Of course not.
So during it, and Bobby came in and took a polygraph. I don't know what his game was. I can't remember asking that question. Why did you take a polygraph? Because you flunked it miserably.
Thought he could pass it.
Yeah.
Officer, you should have known better.
Yeah.
He had an attorney with him. The attorney just said to me, he can't talk. And I said, what the hell do you mean he can't talk? And, so we didn't get to talk. That was December 1982. And we didn't get to talk to him again until January 1984.
Oh, wow.
13 months later. So, yeah. So what we did in the meantime was knock on doors of some of these other clowns that he was hanging out with. And another Boston housing cop, he started giving me little tidbits of information. He cast his line out, and Special Agent Wayne Miller bit at the bait, and he kept me on the hook for, about the next 8 months or so. And he told me finally about a brand new unmarked cruiser stolen from a Ford dealership outside of Boston by these guys. They stole this brand new unmarked cruiser. Why? To update their own personal black LTDs that they had. And they also drove Chevy Impalas that looked just like unmarked police cars. So they could drive around in the middle of the night in neighborhoods with, large black faction, stuff like that, and pull up next to a house and get out. Two white guys get out in that neighborhood. And who thinks they're anything but cops,
Yeah.
And then a short while later, a fire occurs. So they updated their own personal cruiser, but they dumped that brand new car right between South Boston and Boston. There's a waterway called the Fort Point Channel, and it's part of the ocean in a sense. And they dumped it right into the Fort Point Channel. And when this other guy told me about it in August of '83, we recovered the car with the dive teams from Boston Police and Fire. And that was our second big break, because eventually, January 1984, we spoke with Robert Grabluski again, at Boston Police Headquarters with a deputy superintendent, 2 detectives, and 2 ATF people. And that night, January 12th, 1984, he confessed. Within a half hour, he told us about 29 fires at least out of the 200 plus. I was getting sick to my stomach. My head was spinning. We got him back to our office and got him away from the Boston police just because knowing that they didn't want us going after their guy. Mm-hmm. And we called the U.S. Attorney's Office to have somebody come out and make sure we were doing everything right. And I'm going to put a name out to all of you that you should recognize. It was Robert Mueller.
Yes.
The infamous Robert Mueller to a lot of people. Former, later on, the head of the FBI and other investigations.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But back then, he was a pretty good U.S. attorney here in Boston. Mm. And he came out. He said, "You got to arrest him." So at about 3:24, I think my minute's about right. 3:24 a.m. I had the luxury of placing Grabowski under arrest, and it was now Friday the 13th. The 13th of January, 1984. Bad luck for Bobby. Good luck for the citizens of Boston and Massachusetts. So any questions?
That's a lot.
So did you get convictions?
Out of the 9 guys, we did make let's see, 7 of them pled guilty. All of them went to prison except for one who got probation, was only present for the first fire and then not around after that. And 2 guys that went to trial was a Boston firefighter and then the head of the security company. They both went to separate 3-week trials. They were convicted. The head of the security company got a 40-year sentence. And the Boston cop who did not set any fires, he only let his house be used to make the device, and he suggested and he knew about the whole conspiracy. He got a 4 to 6 year sentence. But even Greg Bemis, who pled guilty and testified in 2 trials, Greg signed an agreement initially for 30 years, but back then the federal system, you could get out after 10 possibly. He did get out after, but he really helped. Without Greg testifying, we would not have had a strong case. He did a tremendous job.
Cool. Huh.
How did they come up with the device? Was it just trial and error?
Not exactly. Well, for Greg, in a sense, Greg did it, but Greg went to being a call firefighter and wanting to be a Boston firefighter his whole life. He had gone to a couple fire schools, and he learned about how to make the device there. I can tell people about it today because it's not only court record, it's in my book and the internet today. You can find and do anything you want, you know.
Yeah.
But they just carried a simple brown paper bag, a lunch bag, and inside was a Ziploc baggie with Coleman lantern fuel, about a pint. And they put some tissue on top of that. And then when they placed it in or against the building, they would put a matchbook with a lit cigarette interlaced through the matches, and that would give you a little time delay.
Time device, yeah.
Yeah, when it burned down to the match heads, it ignites that, the tissue, the bag, then the gases start leaking, and you're off to the races.
Yeah, and that's a slow burn too, so yeah.
Yeah, initially it is. So if you move the cigarette in one direction or the other, it gives you a couple more minutes. So you can get away. And they almost always came back to the fires, but again, so did all the other sparks, is a nickname for the fire buffs. And a lot of them came to the fires. So it's not suspicious in that sense, although it's a good practice to photograph everybody who's watching.
Yeah, that was my first job with the fire department, was Fairfax County Fire and Rescue. I was a photographer, and that was one of our directives on every fire scene: photograph everybody that's standing around the fire.
Yep.
And let's say I graduated in 85, so I think I would have started with them around 86, 87. So I guess they got that information from you because that was something they passed down to us. We were a 6-man photo team, and that was one of the things we had to do.
Yep, absolutely. So it was a good career. And, altogether I did, between that and the private side, I did 2,300 fire and explosion scenes. And, testified in courts all over the place. Now, I finally finished in 2019. No more fires for me. Now it's all writing books. I'm now writing a third book, but it's a fiction book. And it is about a serial arsonist murderer. And he only targets women. So,
Dina, you're out.
Yep. It's nastiness, but when I look at what's on TV, or if I look at Stephen King or something, my stuff's no nastier than what's out there already, But yeah, it's going to be nasty, and it's a psychological thriller. There's reasons, and because of my past and stuff like that, I put an awful lot in there. So I also watched your Michael Segru interview that you did.
Oh yeah. Michael's a good guy.
Yep.
Now, just out of curiosity, I deal a lot. I'm a paramedic by trade, 20 years, but I deal a lot in the Knoxville community with PTSD, with our first responders and stuff. Do you have any PTSD or stuff from the things you've seen through the years?
In our time period, we didn't have any counseling or anything like that. But
correct. We didn't either. We're new.
Yeah. Well, I went to the DuPont Plaza Hotel fire in Puerto Rico. It happened on New Year's Eve, '86. And I was on an 8 a.m. flight because I was on a national response team too. A national response team, ATF has 4 teams in the country, and we respond any place within 24 hours. So New Year's morning at 8 a.m., I was on a flight to Puerto Rico, where I spent the next 8 days. And 87 of the 97 who died were piled up by one doorway in the casino, trying to get out one 36-inch door. And it took 8 days for an FBI team and a Air Force crash type team and to remove all the bodies. And, that really sticks with me. But the Worcester warehouse, the Worcester 6.
Yep.
That happened December 3rd, 1999. And that's the last chapter in my second book. And I wanted people to see what I was seeing through my eyes and what was going on in my head. I responded that night. The fire happened like 5:30 or so p.m. I was there by about 7:30 p.m. and I worked it for the next 10 days. And just watching all the firefighters and watching the anguish on their face and how tired they were. This was a 6-story cold storage warehouse, meaning when you put your meats in there before refrigeration and stuff like that, they put ice in there and you could store things for a long time. And it was very old and abandoned for quite a few years. And it had no windows except for the office windows on the second floor. And that night it collapsed. I mean, we lost the 6 firefighters in there, but it collapsed from the 6th down to the 2nd because they were wooden floors there, but the second floor was concrete. And the fire started on the second floor. And I was there every day. And when I talk about it at seminars, I have a lot of photographs. And there's one of an engine company that was a memorial. And they put flowers around it and they put signs on it. And one sign says, God bless all firefighters. They saved my children. So some previous fire somewhere. And when I'm speaking in front of a class, I often have to stop. In Wisconsin, in front of like 300 people, I was halfway down the aisle talking about it. And I broke down and I had to walk back to my podium and regain my composure. So that one touches me more than anything else.
Glenn, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. This fire that he's talking about, isn't this similar to the one of the warehouse in Knoxville around 2 years after that just about got Mike Brown and them?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, this was right. Yeah.
Yeah, the one downtown.
The same thing. It was, there was no windows and it just superheated on them. Yeah.
I took a class from. Yeah, I took a class from one of the officers that was in command of the Worcester fire, and he said that night was the hardest night of his life. That he had to literally stand and block the door because firemen die in pairs.
Yep.
And they sent 2 in. Then they sent another 2, and finally he said I had to stand in front of the door, and it was a literal fist fight because they wanted. He said we would have just kept sending people in. He said at some point I had to make the bad decision that
nobody
else. Yeah,
Chief McNamee. That's who it was. Chief McNamee has the biggest, courageous balls in the world because that stairway haunted me later on. He stood at the base of that stairway where those firefighters actually walked up those stairs who ended up dying. And one of the pictures I have is the stairway just suspended up around the 4th or 5th floor. And I called it a stairway to heaven. It is a wrought iron railing that's just standing right there. And that December sky, when you get the clouds and the rays of sunshine come through, like some of those old time religious pictures.
Yeah.
Came right through the stairway railings. And I tried to capture that in a photo, and it didn't succeed what was in my memory. But I know you want to touch on something like paranormal in a sense too, and it relates to the Worcester warehouse.
Okay. Yeah, that's always a question we ask our guests, right? I know your time's limited too, like everybody else's. What paranormal experiences that you've had in your career or life?
It's not as juicy as Richard's was in a sense, but it's freaky. You're gonna freak out. So the back wall of the warehouse was still standing 6 stories tall. So we're working, on the 2nd floor deck and everything. And the firefighters, the way they worked through it, they had to use heavy equipment to take one load out at a time and put it down onto the ground. And the firefighters raked through and sifted through because the 6 brothers were lost. There wasn't much left to them after being in that inferno and in that collapsed building. And they were looking for anything, buckles, anything from their uniforms and that type of thing. But once the deck got cleared off, we were working on the deck and everything else. And that wall still stood above our heads and could have killed us too. As a matter of fact, a lieutenant from the state fire marshal, there was an elevator shaft that collapsed while we were working in there. And he got covered. And luckily, all he got was bruises and a cut lip. And he came to work. He was the oldest guy there, and he came to work the next day at 8 o'clock in the morning. But but the freaky part. So, when a firefighter's remains are recovered, they announced it each time, and there's a ceremony. And so they take Paul Brotherton was the last firefighter. It took 8 days to recover all the 6 bodies. And they put Brotherton's remains in the body bag. And when they announced first that they found him, about 5 stories up on that back wall. Now, the fire's been out for 8 days. All of a sudden, a fire ignited, just a 18-inch by 18-inch, something like that, just way up there in the middle of nowhere. And they went, ceremony, all the firefighters lined up and they're saluting them as they're taking them down the ladder to ground level. And as they got him off the building, the flames extinguished. Why? I'm a fire science guy. I cannot explain why flames start 8 days after the fire is extinguished, up there in cool air, December air, on a wall that has virtually nothing but, at that point, it has nothing but brick left. and then it extinguishes as the body is taken off the building. If you believe in a higher power, or you believe in ghosts, or you believe in whatever, there's something freaky about that.
It's a little
it'll give you a chill.
Yeah.
So that chapter, there's a great book out there. I don't know the author's name, 3,000 Degrees. It really puts you into the 6 men, their families and their friends, and into the fire that night and everything. I did not want to replicate that or duplicate that in any way. My chapter is about 20 pages. It's through my eyes, Wayne Miller's eyes, and what was going on in my head as I was there every day. And then my part in the investigation. I'm one of 3 people that wrote the investigative report on that. And, you know, that, and you talk about another one, that PTSD type of thing, is the bombing cases. In particular, this 50-year-old guy dating a 30-year-old American Indian woman, and her family hated him. He sent 6 Christmas packages to her family. 4 of them exploded, killing 5 people.
Oh my gosh.
This is in Western New York, and there were multiple scenes. And I was assigned the Rochester, New York one, where the girlfriend of the bomber, her sister, and her sister's boyfriend opened up that Christmas package in the kitchen of their apartment, and they both died instantly. And all the blood and gore was there. I mean, the bodies were there still when I responded 24 hours later. And that's tough stuff to see. And how do you get it out of your mind? You don't.
Yeah.
You can't unsee it.
Nope.
Right.
Nope. I think writing this fiction book for me is some sort of, what's the word?
Catharsis.
Did I hear it?
Catharsis.
That's the one. That's the one. Catharsis. That's the one I want. Because in my own background, my mother grew up in World War II Austria. She was a high school student who was forced to go into a faction of the Hitler Youth. And she's being Germanic and the Hitler Youth and all that stuff. She remained that way the rest of her life.
Yeah. And
she treated us that way, the kids.
Yeah.
And there's some secrets that she kept until I was 44 years old. I found out certain secrets. And I am twisting that secret into my book. I found out that my sister, my older sister, my father was not her father. And my mother kept that secret until I was 44 years old. My father left when I was 6 months old.
Yeah.
And that type of thing in my fiction book, but I'm relating life into my fiction book. And there's a lot of nastiness and why my arsonist is the way he is, and why my arson investigator is the way he is. And there's some twists on how I grew up and found out from my father. When I met him at 44 years old, I found out sitting with him the very first time, "Oh, how's your sister doing? She was so cute when I met her."
You're like, what?
What? So something like that is in my book too. So
Look forward to reading them.
Yeah, I hope to have the fiction one out by early next year, and I'm also going to be working on 2 other true crime ones.
Nice.
Do you have a working title for your fiction book?
I'm afraid I don't.
No.
Tossing around something like "She Never Would Have Changed," because my arsonist targets these women because he has something against the bitchier side of women and against anybody who yells, who screams at kids, who mistreats and abuses kids. And he says every time when he does it, she never would have changed. I'm thinking maybe that one, or I just came up with a chapter 2 days ago, where the arsonist writes a poem to the newspaper, and he calls himself the Burning Man. I have to look it up and see if there's something out there like the Burning Man already, but that's what he calls himself. So I could call him that. My first 2 books have BBB, Burn Boston Burn and Bang Boom Burn. I tried racking my brain to get BBB again, and I can't quite do it. So,
okay, well, might be able to come up with something.
Dean is pretty smart with that.
I'm good at that.
I don't think Burn Bitch Burn works too well.
No, that was what I was going with. I've got an ex-wife that would apply to, so.
Yep.
Well, Wayne, we're gonna have you back, and hopefully we'll get your AV issues worked out.
What the heck happened on that?
You know, sometimes in the paranormal studio, weird things happen here.
Yeah.
So don't
glitches.
It's Wayne Miller the Ghost. I'm not really here.
Oh.
Well, at least you're solid, like Rich was saying. I was going to get back to something you said. You said that you watched the Michael Segru interview. Or are you friends with him? Or
you know, I'm not friends with him, but I thought I saw him once before somewhere. But I saw yours. Yes, I watched.
Okay,
yours.
All right. Well, if you want, he's got a great book. By the way, I'm not all the way through. If you saw the episode, you are familiar with my PTSD story. And feel free to, if you want me to put you in touch with him, I can. So I'd be more than happy to. And my producer in Tampa just said, Burning Brother. Oh, it went away real quick. Burning Brothers. Burning. What screen is it?
Hang on.
Burning. Bad Burning Brother. Bad Burning Brother. That's what he come up with, my producer.
Bad Brother Burning. Bad Burning Brother. Bad Brother Burning. You said either one of those.
That word brother is almost a clue in there too. So
well,
I don't want to give away one of the big twists in the book. So.
Yeah, please don't. Please don't. I love those type of things. So, and I just had an author on a few weeks ago. She's doing a trilogy, and she's going to come back and talk about her other books. So we're going to get you back as well. My producer in Tampa is a secret squirrel. He worked for the federal government too. He was a Secret Service agent. So maybe he's got some insight there. I'm not sure. So
it's way past my bedtime.
Mine too. Did you see me fall asleep? And that's not because of you. It happens all the time.
I thought you were looking down. I thought you were looking down.
Jason had to wake me up. Hey. I could not sleep last night for some reason. It was awful. And then I woke up early this morning and I was like, oh my gosh.
I also do speaking events all over the country. I've done, just on the books alone, I've done about 85 live events. I used to teach fire a lot. I did 80 training seminars too before the books came out. And, but I've been as far as Reno, Nevada and Myrtle Beach and Chicago, all over the place. So if you know an organization that, wants to have a speaker come down or something like that.
I know I'm a part of the Metro Fire Atlanta Fire Buffs. And every week during our online meeting, we have somebody come in and speak, but I don't think they're paid. But I could hook you up if you're interested in that. I'm sure they would love to hear some of that.
I spoke in Marietta County last year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, we probably bumped into a lot of that.
Tommy Sipsey.
Yep.
And my daughter lives in Roswell. And we're going there March 14th. We're going to be down there.
So, okay.
That'll be fun.
Yep.
That's right around the corner for me. I'm in Gwinnett County. So.
Oh, yeah. I had my kid brother lived in Suwanee. And my kid sister lived in, I think she's in Beaufort now.
Okay. Yeah. That's not far from me at all.
No. So.
No. All right. Well, Wayne, I appreciate you coming on. And I'm sorry we kept you up this late.
Well, I enjoyed hearing your stories, and I look forward to reading your books.
Well,
Hopefully.
you'll be shocked, surprised. You'll shake your head. You'll get angry. All sorts of emotions. So
I'm sure.
Thank you all for having me and reaching out to me. I appreciate that. And anything I can ever do for you guys, just you can find my website. I find my email too. Well, you got mine already there, Glenn.
Yeah, I got you.
But my phone number, I think, is even on my website. So
awesome.
Okay. Yeah, it was in one of your emails too. So yeah, I may hook you up with the Metro Fire Atlanta, and they might ask you to do a month or something. I don't know. Well,
yeah.
But all right, Wayne. Well, thank you very much. It's informative, educational, and also entertaining. So
yeah,
and we get the paranormal out of you too. So
yeah.
That's what we like to do. You'd be surprised some of the stories we hear. So
I'll bet. So
thanks.
You all take care of yourselves, folks.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, that was great, guys.
I like him.
Yeah, we need to. We'll get him back when he gets his other book. I've got a lot of ideas. I think I'm going to start having a lot of authors on that write paranormal things too. So
yeah, thank you, Jason. Oh my Lord, I didn't even know I fell asleep.
I didn't know you were asleep either.
Apparently, I was because I was like. When you said
your typical fall over, so
it was almost. I was just barely there, but you got me. That was good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Dina, how was your first? Or no, this was your second show with Ross. Have you managed to beat him up yet?
No, we're getting along wonderful. So far.
Well, you heard we may be trading women, right? So
yes.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure you
work wives. Yeah.
Work wives. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. He hooked me up with his other work wife today, and she's a wonderful lady, and she's actually gonna come on a show or two with us. So that'll be kind of cool.
Yeah.
So but when will you be back on with him again? I think it's Marcella's turn tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, Monday is my next time.
Okay, so Friday he's on his own.
Yeah.
Oh, can we trust him alone? Maybe I should go chaperone.
You might be able to. You might should, because he doesn't like to talk by himself anymore. He's spoiled.
I Facebook message him, so it's almost as good. It bothers him. I found out today, so I'll stop that.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know it bothered him, so I will stop that. Not going to piss off the hand.
It's just distracting when you're trying to.
Well, like Rich was saying, you do something every day, and there is not a day that doesn't go by that I don't do something for one of the now 3, possibly 4 shows. Mm-hmm. There's not one day that I don't do something for one of them. And today I was setting up the Misfits show for the weekend. And while I was doing it, I always send it to Ross because it's his favorite show. I know he likes this show.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, he likes to have a drink with us. So it's kind of cool, but I didn't realize it was bothering him. So I'll wait and do it another time. So yeah, he says it doesn't bother him if it's relevant. So, well, everything I say is relevant.
Of course it is.
Who are you talking to?
He said it doesn't bother you if it's relevant. Or it doesn't bother me if it's relevant.
All right.
Saturday show, you are doing the 80s on Saturday?
Saturday show, that's correct. The Saturday Misfits is we're doing flashback to the 80s. So anything 80s you can think of. 80s games, video games, 80s music. Dina, can you do some 80s hair for me?
80s hair?
80s hair. Can you do 80s hair for me?
Yes,
can you
do 80s hair?
Spray out and make it all poofy?
Yes.
All right. Wear something kinky. So.
Kinky?
The hair and the makeup.
I mean 80s. So.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking of weird science, when I
Oh, that kind of okay.
So it's already started.
I might could find some Madonna-esque type of stuff, maybe.
Probably still have some underwear from the 80s. So
I probably do.
for anything away. So yeah, 80s is the theme for the Misfits on Saturday. We're gonna have the full cast and the full set of numbnuts, and I'll have my typical kamikaze fired up, ready to go. I'm gonna send Jason some Mickeys. It's his first one, so we got to get him on some Mickeys. And Friday night, I do have a new show for anyone that's interested in. Since we did just have a firefighter on here, public safety, military, EMS. There's a thing called challenge coins. And if you don't know what challenge coins are, you should tune in Friday night at 9:00, because we're going to talk about the history of challenge coins. We're going to peddle some of our challenge coins, and we're going to take calls from the viewer and see if they got some challenge coins they want to sell or want to trade or just want to talk about.
The viewer. You're expecting one viewer.
Well, no, I mean, I will have more than one viewer, because I'll have you and Andy both watching. That's two right there. So, and Brenda, so there's three. So, but yeah, it starts at 9. I've got a whole new different cast. Andy's going to join me on there, and I've got Corey and Matt. One of them is a police officer in the Midwest, and the other one is a sailor out on the West Coast. So he's going to join us as well. Hey, that's what we said, that we were going to go in this, and we don't know if it's going to be a success or not, but we're going to have fun. We're going to bust each other's balls and have a really good time.
It'll be fun.
I can already tell there's going to be some camaraderie between me and the police officer, because I had to remind him that the only reason he was a cop is that he didn't pass the civil service to become. So he got me before that, so I zinged him right back. So I need to find my sound effects for bacon and pigs. So
so when you do the show on Friday, send out a link and stuff. I'll try to hook up on that one.
Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, we could always use another weirdo. So yeah. Your audio is not going through your mic. I think it's going through your computer. So
yeah,
maybe that's it.
Yeah, we got to work on that. So
yeah,
but it's your first show. We won't bust your
right.
Just
no big thing.
So we'll get it. So that's all right. Andy's in during the show. Andy's going to get us live updates on fires going on in Maryland. So
yeah.
I hope there aren't any for a while after the last couple of days.
You know, we always talk as a firefighter. You say, "Yo, we want to fight fire. We want to fight fire." We don't really want somebody's stuff to burn up or be destroyed. But if there has to be a fire, why can't it be on our shift? You know, that was always the way it was. So, let's see. Andy, yeah, I didn't like fighting fire. The heat. A damn brush fire. I hated brush fires. I hated brush fires.
I know.
Mulch fires. You like mulch fires?
Mulch I can handle. Brush fire. That's where I met my first timber rattler. My first timber rattler I didn't like. So
yeah. Yeah, that could be a
yeah. I didn't know that there was rattlesnakes in the South until I was in Luttrell, Tennessee. Yeah. I hate brush fires.
Heck yeah.
All right. So go ahead.
I was in the Smoky Mountains once, and me and this girl were like going, "Oh, the baby rattlers are so cute, and they're all right there along the trail. They're so cute. Really? They were cute, but found out that they were much more deadly than the bigger ones." And we were just standing there looking at them like idiots. Okay,
and you know, they can grow and spring. I think it's like 3 times their body length.
I did not know that.
And the young ones can spring further and will latch on.
I did not know that.
And release more venom. After they get to 10 feet long, they don't rattle. They're just like Step on me, bitch.
No, we were just standing there. They were in a little nest right beside or just right there beside the trail, like about a foot off the trail, up high at our waist height.
Oh yeah.
And me and her were standing there just admiring them, saying they were so cute. They were like writhing all over each other, and they were really
Peter,
pretty.
welcome back, Peter. Welcome back, Peter. Welcome back, Peter.
After we went on down the trail,
Well,
was telling somebody about them, and they said, "Yeah, those are a whole lot more venomous than those." And I was like, "Oh no."
Well, lucky enough though, the timber rattler generally has a good disposition. They are one of the most non-aggressive rattlesnakes there are.
It's a good thing.
I like.
Yeah.
I mean, I've learned since I've been more out in the woods. I won't kill a black snake, a rat snake, a garter snake. I won't. And I try not to kill any snake now because I've gotten a little bit better as I got older about it. But I don't have a use for a rattlesnake. So, but
we have copperheads.
Yeah.
We got a lot of copperheads around here too.
Yeah, if I'm gonna be bit by one, let it be a copperhead. I mean,
I'll say no, none of them.
No, I don't want none of them.
Well, if I've got to be bit by one, please let it be a copperhead. And the venom is not very toxicity. Plus for a copperhead on an adult, they don't usually envenomate.
Oh, really?
Unless they're just pissed off.
Is that the ones they use in the church when they're shaking them around in the?
Well, they've been shaking them around, so he's probably a little pissed off at the time.
Yeah.
But they won't bite you because God's with them. So that's
shut up. You're so.
That's what they say. I don't know. I've never been to one of these places.
I've been to you just make fun of everybody's freaking religion.
He does.
Okay, if you're going to rattle a snake in front of your face that's venomous, you're pretty damn stupid. I'll be honest with you. You're pretty damn.
It's not the thing.
God, whatever God you subscribe to,
they believe that. But I don't believe that. But
whatever one is saying, if you're stupid enough to do this, you're stupid enough to get bit. I mean, it's common sense.
Right. I'm in Bible college, and I'm pretty strong in my faith, but
yeah, I don't want to handle.
I'm not that strong.
That's not my thing, but it's just that
she likes to judge me. I'm an atheist Jew, so. Oh, all right. Well, by the power of voting and Ross, I have to end this show. We've went over, so.
Okay.
Andy, Jason, we'll see you Friday. Dina, you're going to be with Ross. Keep him out of trouble.
I'll see you Saturday.
Yeah, you'll see me Saturday. Have the 80s hair, so we'll be waiting.
I got to remember that. Remind me.
Okay, Andy, that's your job.
Okay.
I'll forget by then.
I'll remind her. Trust me.
Don't
Andy,
be nasty.
Make sure Dina's hot.
Big poofy hair, the big hoop earrings.
Oh gosh, I don't wear earrings.
Yeah, something to hold on
anymore.
Well, Glenn, you can wear the earrings.
Yeah, you wear the earrings.
They won't show up with my headphones. Ross is the Pope Mobile. But I went away. Everybody just assumes my religion. That's transferred from my old partner. Good God.
Oh, hush up.
Good night, everybody.
Later.
Everybody have a wonderful night. We'll talk to you later.
Night, guys.
Bye now.